You're always better, my friend. Welcome to Notorious Women's Podcast. I'm Lavetta.
And I'm Miriam.
And this is Notorious Women, a comedy podcast about some of history's most notorious women. Woo, 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 woo. But you are always. Oh my God. Am I tired? I think so.
You're tired. Yes.
Always.
I am very tired.
And it's not even the summer yet. Well, it just became the summer. So we're just in the summer now.
Let's be clear. It's not summer quite yet. It's like almost summer.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be summer.
You know what? You're right.
Yep.
You're right. Actual summer.
Actual summer, which I'm still looking forward to. Oh, God.
Hot girl summer. Not tired girl summer. Got to take our vitamins. Okay. Very important. Thank you for this PSA.
Summer, not tired girl summer. Oh my God. That is hilarious.
We got to focus. Yeah.
Focus. All right, my friend. I'm focused. I believe this week you are first. So who's your notorious woman this week that you're going to share with me and our listeners?
Okay. I'm so excited about this woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you watch A League of Their Own?
Of course I did.
Did you watch it over and over again?
I watched it at least twice, but not over and over and over again.
Okay. Well, I have watched this movie so many times and I love every ounce of it so much. And at the end, I cry and I remember thinking, yes. Now we understand how important women's sports are and everything is better because I was very hopeful as a teenager. I was very like, yes, we have problems solved based on this one movie that I have just watched over and over again. But let's talk about that movie. And there's a new version.
Yes.
On Amazon, which I actually just started because I'm slow.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
I am going to talk about a woman named Maybelle Blair.
Maybelle Blair. Now that is an old school name. Maybelle Blair.
Maybelle Blair. Now I got much of my information from MLB.com and an article from the New York Times. So, a lot of her early years seems a little like unsure from what I am gathering. So, she was born January 16th, 1927. She was maybe born in Inglewood, California, or Longvale, California, or Texas.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So, what I gather is that she was in Texas for a period in her childhood, but ended up in California.
Okay.
A lot of her story is sort of finding out like in her much later years. And I'm sure that there's, memory can be a little fuzzy. So I'll talk about what is fuzzy and what is very clear and what is documented. So she grew up with a love of baseball. She says she has baseball in her blood. She's quote, she was born a baseball fan. She also said that playing baseball was the only entertainment we had besides breaking horses. So, that was probably Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it could be California too. Excuse me.
I suppose it could be California.
Yeah, especially in the 20s or 30s. Yeah.
30s. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Did you ever watch the new Perry Mason?
Yes, and we've had this conversation because I know you love it.
I know. Because I love it so much. It's just so fascinating to see California back then.
I know.
It's so bizarre.
I know.
Oof. That's all I had to say because it popped in my head. And I say things that pop in my head sometimes. Okay, so growing up, her father and brothers played on a team called the Blair Nine. Get it? Because their last name is Blair. You see what they did there?
I see what they did there.
And of course, she couldn't play because she's a girl, so she could scorekeep. And so she had scorekeeping duties. And so she said, quote, after the game was over, maybe when they were going to have batting practice, they'd call me out and say, sis, come out and play now. I'd grab my mitt and all I'd do is go out there and shag balls, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I don't even know what shag balls means.
I don't either.
That does not sound good coming out of my mouth. Never say that again. Got it. But I'm guessing throw back and forth. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So when she was in 5th grade, she formed her own softball team, and she forced other girls to come out and practice with her every day.
Aww.
And eventually it led to a teacher connecting her with another school down the road so she could continue playing with some people who were similarly obsessed with the game.
Aww.
This is what she says. I'm gonna do the direct quote. And if someone who really knows baseball, then they maybe know what I'm saying. She says, quote, at recess, I'd make all the girls stand up and I would hit them pepper and throw back. When I finally got out on the field, I asked them all to stay after school and practice with me. I finally got pretty good. I don't know what hit them pepper means, but I love it.
Again, 1930s. I love that speak. Hit peppers.
Yeah, doesn't
That's
it?
Terrible accent. See. I think I'm doing a bad guy. See. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, what you talking about? See, that doesn't make sense.
More like Mae West, 1930s. Come up, see me sometime.
Handsome man.
Boy.
Yeah, we should probably not go down this road. Okay, so around the same time, she began to become aware of her sexuality, but she knew she had to keep it a deep secret. So throughout her life, she kept her relationships private and she never married. She says that her first love came when she was a senior in high school. So I'll just say she's a lesbian.
Pride, happy Pride, bitches.
Happy Pride. Okay. You see what I did there?
Yep.
She said, I was so worried about my family because in those days, nobody knew anything about people being gay or what have you. It was so nerve-wracking. So while she was still in high school, she was playing semi-pro softball for the Pasadena Ramblers. And there she is in California for sure. And what they would do is they would stop for games. This is cool. I didn't know that this happened. They would stop for games on military bases and take on men's teams that would do their best to beat them. And basically, like, bragging rights were on the line here. That's why they were playing.
Oh, that's a great concept because that's how you can get the men to engage. But it's a shame that the women have to be novelty. They have to be like a novelty, group. But
But I will say, this is her quote. She said, quote, they would form their team, then we'd go down there, play them, and beat them half the time. She says, just the soldiers or the sailors or whoever we played, we were all over those guys. They could hardly handle it when we got through beating them. It was a lot of fun for them, and it was a lot of fun for us. We can look back and be like, oh, they were sort of making it cute by having the women play the men, or as they all loved to call them, the girls.
Yeah.
But she had a good time, and let's not discount that.
Of course not. Yeah.
But let's also do better. I don't want to be like, oh, no, she liked being talked down to. That's not what I mean.
No, but I love the fact that they get to beat them.
Yeah. Actually, we're better than you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
So she was playing one of her games in Redondo Beach, California, when a scout came through. So he wanted her to go with the Chicago Cardinals softball team. Now, her mother was resistant to the idea at first, and then she learned she would be making $55 a week. And so on a train to Chicago, she went. So that was something I'm not really sure, but it was $700 a week. Maybe
it's not bad for, what did you say, 55?
55, about 55.
In what year?
1940. She was 17, 18, 1943, 1944.
Yes, 900.
You're looking it up, aren't you?
Yeah, $900.
$900.
$964.45.
That's a lot. If someone was like, hey, do this thing for me for $964, I would be like, Yeah, let's go.
To like do what I love that I do for
Love.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in this day and age, you'd have to like live small,
Yeah.
but you could, you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Especially if you're
Like if
living
you
at
had,
home.
yeah, I was just gonna say, if you have no rent to pay, it's fine.
Yeah.
So she joins the team, and when she got to the league, she, quote, found out there were more people like me, and it gave me more freedom and those girls more freedom. She'd never been in an inclusive environment. And they would frequently meet up in Chicago during a day off, and they would go to a gay bar, which I think is important to understand that like underground gay bars have been in existence for forever.
Oh yeah.
Like again, I'm still traumatized by the old friend from high school who said gay was invented in the 90s. I've not processed.
What's our
Like
new moniker for the show? People are dumb. People are dumb.
People are dumb. People are dumb. I mean, so it's like every time I say that, I always have to like point out because, you know, he couldn't have been the only person who thought that. Maybe. I hope so.
Oh,
but
God.
you know what? Probably not. So while she was playing there, Max Carey, who was like a big guy in baseball, saw her performance and signed her to join the Peoria Red Wings of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. All-American League, we come from cities near and far. I actually still know the whole song. Sorry. As a pitcher in 1948. We are Canadians, Irish ones, and Swedes. Do you know that song, it was the official All-American Girls Professional Baseball League song?
No.
That was real.
Oh.
No, it was real. They didn't write it for the movie.
Oh. Okay.
That's what I read. We could ask Gina Davis.
Yes, I would love to ask Gina Davis anything. I love her.
She has yet to be on my speed dial, but I'm sure she would have the answer. So she joined. That's this professional baseball. They pay good money. But unfortunately she hurt her leg and she could hardly move. Oh. She played one game and did really well and then couldn't move. So she tried to cover it up, but her opponents soon found out and they started laying down bunts against her with reckless abandon.
Oh yeah.
And she said they kept her on for a couple of weeks to be nice and then was like, we have to let you go. With a hope that she would return, but that didn't happen. Aww. But she did go back to, like, in 1951, she played with the New Orleans Jacks. But unfortunately, she had to choose between baseball and she was offered a good job escorting VIPs for Northrop Aircraft.
Oh.
Excuse me. I'm going to drink some water. Hold on.
That sounds like a pretty good like gig. I mean, it's not playing baseball or softball, but I mean, I guess it beats being behind a desk in a secretarial pool.
And I mean, I don't know the tenor of like what people are talking about, but the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, say that 3 times fast, folded in 1954 because you know, it's so sad. Why can't we all play baseball, you guys? So she attended Compton Junior College in California and then the Los Angeles School of Physiotherapy. So following her graduation, at first she worked at a treatment center in Los Angeles, and then she started working full time. She had a 37-year career at Northrop Corporation, which is now Northrop Grumman, by the way, which is where my dad once worked.
Oh.
And then I'm like, maybe they knew each other. I don't know. Like, probably not. But I don't know, maybe. He would have loved her. He'd have been like, she is smart. So she started off, so she was a chauffeur. She ended up as the manager of highway transportation. She was one of 3 female managers that the company employed in that period. So when she was at Northrop, there was a high security, she had to have a high security clearance. She worked with Northrop's B-2 bomber. And so the responsibility with that also came with a lot of scrutiny. So, quote her, she said, they would go around asking neighbors all about you. It was nerve-wracking. Every time I moved, I was afraid somebody would discover that I was gay. And if they did, I would be fired right on the spot. So she retired. It's so tragic. It's why Pride exists, you guys. Like,
yeah, I think people don't realize like how, and you know, and queer people of a certain generation still have this fear, depending on the industry in which they work in. But people, you know, not only physical safety, but like financial stability. You know, being able to keep your job, because you know, depending on who saw and when they saw what and where they saw what, it's just
like they could fire you, and every judge in this country would say that was legal.
Yep.
And they could put you in jail. Like, I think people need to understand. I remember hearing rhetoric about gay rights and why should they have more rights than me and da 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 da. I'm like, you don't understand. They want human rights, and they don't have it. And now is a better time in America than ever, but only because it was so bad before.
Well, only now. I mean, it could like change overnight. It's slowly changing. All these bills all over the country that are trying to take away these rights. But you're right. Like a judge would be like, yeah, there's nothing illegal about it. Also, you could be ostracized. They probably could take your pension. So even though she worked at this place forever, they could fire her and take her pension. So it's not like you could be like, oh, early retirement. Nope. They could take all of that.
They could take all of it. You'd be destitute.
Yep.
But she was okay. She retired. She became the vice president of the Center for Extended Learning for Seniors, which was an educational travel tours program for elder hostel. She also became an active collaborator in different projects for the AAGPBL Players Association since its foundation in 1982. She was on the board of directors and the chair of the fundraising committee. The association helped to bring the leak story to the public eye and was largely responsible for the opening of Women in Baseball, a permanent display based at the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, which was unveiled in 1988 to honor the entire All-American Girls Professional Baseball League rather than any person individually. She's also good friends with Justine Siegel, who is the first woman to coach professional men's baseball and the founder of a program called Baseball for All. She's been a constant presence at the annual Trailblazer series. She always brings her glove and she'll play catch with anyone who wants to. Like in her 90s, and she's good.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. And she's continuing to push for the International Women's Baseball Center to be built in Rockford, Illinois, as a place to help grow the game and to celebrate the groundbreakers who came before her. She says, quote, now there's the opportunity. The doors are opening up, but we've got to get our foot there and kick the heck out of that door, and let's get it going.
Amen, sister.
She says,
amen.
Right?
Yep.
She is not stopping. She says, these girls deserve it. They need help.
Yep.
For some of these girls, there's no place for them to play baseball. We will be running a league of our own again. Oh my God, I'm crying. So in 2022, she was promoting the TV series A League of Their Own, because she helped consult, and she publicly came out as a lesbian for the first time in her life.
Wow.
She was 95 years old.
Wow.
Now, the producers of the show knew her story. She told them, and they, they supported, that was fine, but she'd never been out publicly. And then on stage in front of lots and lots of people. And her quote, I thought I was the only one in the world. I had for 75, 85 years. And this is actually basically the first time I've ever come out.
Wow. See?
She is why we have pride.
Yep.
Like.
Yep. Not just for the young people.
Nope. It's for everybody, and it's necessary.
Yep. It's necessary to honor the elders, and those people who, they fought hard, but they also had to live in a very hostile climate, even more
Yes.
hostile than we have now, where they didn't have any legal recourse just to live their
Right.
lives, not bothering anybody, just living their
Not
lives.
bothering any. I think it's because it feels absurd now
Hmm.
that anyone would care.
I
But
mean,
historically, they have cared.
yep,
And historically, we have made progress and then been shot down.
yep,
So we have to keep caring. It's just like they say about feminism. It's the same exact thing. If you stop fighting, you will lose.
yep, yep.
So we can't stop fighting.
No, I love that.
I
Oh,
know and she found, you know what I think is really amazing, and I'm always in awe, and I look for this in people, is she found her joy.
yeah.
Yes, it sucked she had to hide who she was, but she loved baseball and she played baseball, and she also talks, I didn't get into it, like how she loves the sound of the cleats, and her favorite moment
Mm,
ever is that first time walking out to the stadium, hearing, like, that was her going out there to play, and she loved it.
hmm.
Like, she was able to live at least a solid portion of her truth,
Oh,
you know, if not enough of it, right?
I love it. Love, love, love it. Oh, Maybelle.
Maybelle Blair.
Maybelle Blair. That's a great name. Thank you so
I know,
much for
right?
sharing that. I mean, it's just, it's like you said, a testament to like the sacrifices that people made. But it's just so nice to know that many of our queer elders were able to at least live, do the things that they wanted to do with life. And she got to play,
Yeah,
baseball professionally for a short while and got to live up to that dream and not be completely shut out of it, and then
right,
go on to build another life, a whole other life doing something else, but continuing and coming back to that love and then, helping to usher in the new generation and help them
right.
to get the
And she's fighting.
opportunities. Yeah.
She's not stopped fighting. She's like, I'm gonna go as long as I live.
Notorious
I love
indeed.
it.
Because notorious
Notorious
to,
indeed.
yeah, to, live your life out proud. So,
Yeah.
Maybelle Blair, thank
And
you.
never stopped fighting. She never stopped fighting. Even when she felt too scared to be open about all that she is, she still never stopped fighting. And she still understands that everyone needs to be able to express themselves. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing
I
that. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Okay, I just started watching the new League of Their Own, and
Mm-hmm.
they touch on it a little in the original movie that I saw over and over and over again. But they weren't able to touch on the queer stories in that movie, and that's why this sort of second iteration of the same ish story, right, is important, because there were a fair amount of lesbians. Of course, if you get, how many women, 600 women, you're going to have a fair amount of lesbians. That's just the percentage of how the human uh, biology works, right?
Yeah.
So they were so intent, and she talks about this too, on teaching these women how to be as feminine as possible,
Mm,
because the only reason they thought this league would work is if these women were as society deems a womanly woman should be,
right.
when the reality is women are like men, not a monolith.
Right.
We are all different ways. And it's just bizarre watching these scenes where they're, learning how to put on lipstick.
I know.
Listen, I would be in the same boat because I don't really wear makeup.
It's
I can if I have to, but
yeah,
I
but it's
prefer
just
not to have to.
it's really interesting. I thought that was interesting in the series where the emphasis is like it's basically like, oh, the girl players. Like it's not like, taking
Yes.
them seriously. And then it's interesting because I think about the WNBA, because then the flip side of that, once women have rejected that, then it becomes about like, oh, they're like men. And it's like, I mean, they're just
No,
athletes.
they're athletes.
Just
Stop.
athletes.
You guys, like, stop. Like, honor why humanity likes to put people in boxes.
Yeah.
Because when we were cavemen and had no forms of communication, there was like a sense of like, oh, your coloring is similar. You must be from my tribe. I also can't form full sentences, right? So there is like that sense of like, oh, you look like me. You're not a bear who's going to eat me, right? Like, that's why we have it. That's why we box people, so that we know, you know, that you're not a lion, you're a human.
Right.
But I think, as, you know, or that like maybe you're not a rival nation that's going to come and try to steal my resources.
Right.
Okay, fine. But like, we know better. Why can't we do better? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
You know why? Because
Oh, do
people are
tell.
dumb.
I forgot. How did I forget?
Girl, you just keep
Lord.
forgetting.
I know.
But our ladies are
I'm
not.
dumb.
Especially
No,
this
they
week.
are not.
Thank you so much
Oh,
for
okay.
sharing that. And also, again, like you said, it's Pride, and we are in support of our alphabet family.
Yes.
It's so funny because people are always like LGBTQ, da, da, da. And it's like LGBTQ plus IA or
It's
alphabet family.
I like alphabet family because then you don't accidentally leave someone out. Because the reality is they're adding, because we shut this shit so hard down that like we're still sort of discovering like the truth of our humanity, the capacity that we have as a human race to exist.
Yeah.
Right? So I just feel like if you get the plus in there, then that's the everybody. You know?
So, I mean, as long as you don't forget about people and as long as it's said out of love. So that's the most important thing. But I also, because again, it's June is Pride month, as well as Black music.
Yeah. Yes.
As well as Black Music History Month. I thought to combine the two in my Notorious Woman this week.
Okay.
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 My Notorious Woman this week is Honey Dijon. Do you know who Honey Dijon is?
No, but I love her name.
I know, right? Isn't that great?
Oh
okay.
my God.
Let's get into it. It's a short one, but short and sweet. So Honey Dijon was born Honey Redmond on June 21st. I'm not going to say the year she was born because I looked something up. She was like, I don't want people to know my age, but somebody put it down as so she's born on June 21st in Chicago.
Oh my God. It's almost her birthday. Or as of this coming out, it was her birthday. I don't know.
Yeah. Happy birthday, honey.
Yeah.
Now, as a child growing up in the 70s on the south side of Chicago, in what she described as a, quote, very middle class, loving African-American family, that was also musical. Because of this, Honey was, of course, drawn to music at a very early age, you know. And also Chicago's just a richly cultural music town. They've produced some amazing musical artists and acts. So in her mid-teens, she began clubbing hard. And going out to what was called back then, quote, warehouse parties in Chicago. Now,
I've heard of these warehouse parties.
Yeah, it's probably like what became the club kids parties scene in the 90s in New York City.
Yeah.
Now, at first, she would sneak out of the house, but eventually her parents found out, because parents always find out, kids.
Yes, they do. If my children are listening, I know everything. Okay.
They know everything. So perhaps because they understood her draw to music, or just realizing that she was going to do what she wanted to do. She was at that age. Her parents made a deal with her that she could go to these parties as long as her academics didn't suffer. So good parents, you know.
Yeah, I would just want my kid to be safe. Like that would be my only concern.
Yeah, because if you sneak out, I don't know where you are, something happens. Right. So yeah.
I would make the same deal. And then I would follow them to the party, and then I would watch them the whole time.
No, you put a tracker on them. You put a tracker on them.
Yeah, I can do that these days.
Yep.
It's not a problem.
Also, like, you know, parents, you kind of know what kind of kid you have. Some kids you cannot make this deal with. You're like, no, that motherfucker's going to rob something, just be stupid, and then I'm going to have to choke him out when he gets home. So
yeah, it's exhausting, you know, a lot of arm strength, you know.
Or like, I have to take off the doors off of her room because she's always
Yeah.
up to no good, but not
Yep.
Dijon. Her parents were like, as long as your grades don't suffer, you can do it. So,
Okay.
so she started clubbing, and because of this clubbing, it sparked her interest in DJing,
Oh,
which Chicago has a very rich history of this, of DJing. And she, at these warehouse parties, she was rubbing elbows with some of, some big local celebrity DJs and producers.
okay.
And they basically started to take her under their wing, some of them.
Oh,
Some of
very
them
cool.
include Derek Carter, Mark Farina, and Greenskeepers. They were all respected figures and notable figures in the underground tech and house music scene of Chicago during this time.
Okay.
So she's in good company. Now, she's she's a club kid. She loves this house music. She's finding her way to becoming a DJ herself.
Okay.
Because it starts out, you're just dancing. You're like, I'm going to burn off some steam. I'm just going to, and then you get
Yes.
interested in like, oh, maybe I can DJ. And then you learn from these greats. So they take you under their wing. And so in the 1990s, this is when some would say the explosion of dance music happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so it culminated with her getting into becoming a DJ as well. So eventually she moved to New York City.
Okay. Of course she did. All the cool
Of course
kids.
she did.
Just saying.
I know. Now, once she moved to New York City, she was introduced to a house indie label by the name of Maxi Records, and a producer by the name of Danny Tanaglia, a fellow DJ, and again, a well-respected producer at this point. Now, keep in mind, all these people are very young, like especially Danny and her,
how old
late
is she
teens.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like late
Tiny
teens.
babies.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
They're all very young, and they also have the energy to stay up at 3:00 in the morning. So
yeah, right. I do not. Nope.
Now in 2018,
if I am awake at 3 a.m, it's because like perimenopause is just awakening me. That's what stage in life I am at.
Or you're up against your will. So there's that.
Yeah.
Now,
a nightmare a child has,
of her DJing style, because yes, DJs have a style as well as any other musical creator. Resident advisor once stated that her style was a rambunctious DJ style that leaned heavily on golden era disco, techno, and house.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. Now, Dijon herself would acknowledge that a lot of people still associated her at the time with swingy Chicago and classic house and disco. But she also says that she can rock dirty rhythmic techno as well. So, because even though Chicago is sort of like not sort of, but is the ground zero for house music.
Yeah.
There's different types of house music throughout the continental USA. Again, America is very big, so there's different styles in different cities. So now, side note, house music is a music genre known for its steady 4/4 thump and electronic essence. And it was born in Chicago, specifically at the Warehouse Club in the early and mid 1980s, as DJs began altering disco songs to give them a more mechanical beat. House pioneers.
I know that too well because of how old I am. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, house pioneers like DJs like Frankie Knuckles, Ron Hardy, Jesse Saunders, Chip E, Steve Silk Hurley, Joe Smooth, Farley Jack Master Funk, all these guys and many others. They're the ones who really revolutionized and created this genre. And so it's based off of America's the land of the remix. So it's based in disco, and other like sort of quote unquote dance beats, but then they add this electronic 4/4 thump essence to it,
which is so fun if you're dancing at a club and you're me.
Yeah. And then out of that, house music expanded to different cities in the US, including New York City, and then also across the Atlantic to London. And it became a worldwide phenomenon. Now, and then eventually in the 90s, it exploded, and then it became more mainstream and pop. And so a lot of pop music was influenced by it as well. And so major artists like Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, Madonna, Pet Shop Boys, Kylie Minogue, and in more recent times, Lady Gaga are all known
All of the
for.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
they're
best.
now. If you're still kind of confused about what house music was at this time, think of "Pump Up the Jam." Pump up the jam.
The
Dun,
jam,
dun,
pump it
dun, dun, dun,
up
dun.
while your feet are stumping
Mm-mm.
and you're jamming. Do you know that a friend of mine and I spent 4 years trying to choreograph a dance to that song that we were going to
Oh,
perform at band camp? I'll say it. And we never did it. We never finished it. So we've never performed it, but that song will always live in
that's
my heart.
now by that
Yeah.
time, that's sort of like when it became mainstream, and also a very classic house music song is Robin S's "Show Me Love." You got to show me
Show me
love.
love.
Words are so easy. You got to show, and that doom 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 doom, that kind of beat. That's like very like classic house music.
Like I'm ready to go dancing right now.
I know. I
Let's
think that's
go.
why you couldn't come up with the choreography, because you're too busy dancing to just like the
I
rhythm and the beat.
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and now keep in mind, hip hop has also exploded around this time. So often there was like hip hop or dance or club, and then DJs are like, why can't we do it all? Right? Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I listen. I love all kinds of music except death metal. So
I I have learned to appreciate its musicality because there is a boy that Sal thinks maybe had a crush on me, but I think he was just really interested in me understanding music in high school. And he made me listen to some things, and I was like, wow, that is beautiful.
yeah, I can't do
So
death metal. I can't. I feel like the devil is trying to come out of the person's chest. I feel like I'm in a horror movie. I feel like you're trying to hurt me. If you're like, I don't, what is
Yeah,
that?
no,
I
it's a
don't,
fair assessment. I'm not gonna lie,
yeah.
but
Also,
yeah.
I love to shake my booty, shake your booty. So,
Uh-huh.
so house music is definitely my jam. Now Honey Dijon herself is known somewhat of a house music griot, a musical historian who will not let anyone forget that the genre of house music is with black. The roots are black and queer, even as
Yes.
subgenres like EDM and tech house have strayed far from its origins. But it originated with the black and queer roots in Chicago, and again, it spread out, and then other cities, have their own form of it. But house music originated in Chicago. So now basically she's in New York living her best life. She's picking up some DJ some gigs. At first she was living off of like basically $150 for gigs. She's trying to live, hanging out with her friends. But she also said that she when she moved to New York, she found her people because it had a more open queer community as well.
Yeah.
But also, New York is a big. Chicago's a big city, but New York is a more international city, also because it's a coastal city. So it opens up your exposure. It opens up your exposure to get steady work.
Yes.
She started performing in the underground club circuit, and she played sets at also fashion shows,
Oh, really?
which
That
started
is cool.
making and also started making industry connections. Listen, if you can get into the fashion, there is
Yes.
money to be made.
That is the correct move if you can.
Yeah. And she talks about also, like I said, finding her people, her tribe. In New York, she said, quote, from early on, quote, she was a very effeminate child. In an interview she did in Manchester, England, in a hotel room, she was doing an interview, and she said she withstood bullying and assumed a lot of bullying because people assumed that she was gay. And she thought she was gay at first too, because quote, I was attracted to men and I really didn't have any mirrors or affirmations of trans femme energy, end quote. So again,
Yes,
she didn't know. She's just like, oh, I must be gay. But then I'm not really sure what's going on. And because she didn't really have the verbiage, the role models.
yeah. Like it didn't it fully existed in the world, but it
Yeah.
didn't exist as a societal norm.
Well, exactly. And you couldn't really access it unless you were already in it or somebody brought you
Right.
in. So you have to find your tribe. You have to find your people. But she did say that, her whole life in New York, it wasn't just about, just music or anything. It became a lifeline for her. She said that as a trans woman of
Yeah.
color, she couldn't just go and get a job with benefits as her mother had encouraged her. So,
I
quote,
mean,
clubbing at that
yeah.
time was really a great place for you to make a quote unquote honest living, end quote, for her. So it just became a lifeline of, you get emotional and creative satisfaction, protection, and then also a
Right.
way to make a living because everybody got to pay rent.
Yep.
Everybody got to pay rent. So once she found her footing in New York's musical scene, word began to get out about her skills as a DJ and a producer. And that eventually led to some, pretty steady work and a growing good reputation. And in 2017, she released her debut album titled The Best of Both Worlds, in which she was nominated for both a GLAAD Media Award and 2 DJ Mag Awards. And
Oh, wow.
she did win the DJ Mag Award in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So,
incredible.
yeah, she's finding her footing, and she continued to make money with fashion shows. She also became a collaborator with Louis Vuitton and Dior, providing
Oh my God.
soundtracks for their runway shows, as well as playing festivals and corporate gigs. So she,
You know
she's
what?
making a
This
living.
woman, let's give her this credit, it sounds to me like she's a brilliant woman because she runs her business.
It's a business.
Like nobody's business. Like we could learn maybe from her. I'm just saying. She's very smart.
Also, I think that, sometimes I think people who are not in the creative or the entertainment, they don't realize how hard it is to get that steady gig. Because you can literally be like, you could be in like a hit show for like, let's say with acting for like 3, 4, 5 years and then not work for like 7 years.
Yep.
Like that's
so
just.
you hopefully bought the house outright.
Yeah.
So there's that, but you still got to eat,
Yeah. And DJs are like, they are also musical artists, oftentimes as well.
Yeah.
But I think that they're great because they're tastemakers in a lot of ways. The DJ is always, that's why in hip hop, the DJ is like that's why it's DJ Jazzy and the Fresh Prince, because the DJ was always more important because the DJ is the tastemaker. The DJ sets the mood of the club. They have all the power. And so, people who are in the know, who know, really respect DJs. So now in 2013, she was featured in New York Times as an up and coming artist, which is a big deal. It is. And then last summer, and also one thing that DJs are known for are their remixes as well. Last summer, she contributed to a remix for Madonna called Finally Enough Love. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
And Madonna called Honey DJ her, quote, my favorite DJ in the whole world, end quote.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's coming from Madonna.
Like, that's all you gotta, like, that's it. Like, I would take that quote and then I would print it, like, and then I would frame it, and then it would be on my wall in every room of my house. That's what I would do.
Yeah. And like, I know it's become like, trendy to shit on Madonna, but y'all put some respect on Madonna Cicconi's name. Okay. Like y'all put some respect on her name.
Like everyone back off. Like we got to do her one day.
Madonna is an American treasure. Like she's not without controversy and all that other stuff, but y'all put some motherfucking respect on Madonna's name. Okay. So that's high praise, obviously. She also curated last year opening club night of Grace Jones Meltdown Festival in London.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then today she regularly plays sets in 10,000K plus capacity venues in the UK, the United States, and all throughout the world. So she is hot on fire. But she also says, as one of still too few visible trans artists and DJ and music artists working today, Honey has always used her success and platform to advocate for her community and for others. She has been a vocal advocate for trans rights and awareness, speaking from her experience as a Black trans woman and a Black trans woman DJ and dance music. In 2016, she was interviewed by the British television channel Channel 4 on the issue of trans visibility at a 2017 event hosted by MoMA. In New York City, she led a roundtable discussion, quote, focused on those who have, like her, found safety and creative expression within the New York club scene, end quote. Since 2019, Dijon has had her own clothing line called Honey _Dijon clothing
God,
line
that's awesome.
from Comme des Garçons. Garçon. I know I butchered that. That's French. That's French. French.
Garçon, like as in boy, like garçon.
It's GARCONS. Garçon.
Garçon.
Garçon. Yeah. Much of the apparel.
Yeah, plural.
Okay. And so basically, it's much of the apparel is printed with explicit references to disco and house. Because again, she's a music historian as well. Now, in 2022, how she became on my radar this last year, she released her second album, Black Girl Magic, which led to critical acclaim.
I've heard of this album.
She also was part of a little bit of an album called Renaissance.
Oh, that little known artist. What's her name?
Beyonce. Beyonce.
No, that's wrong.
Little she got a little
up and
call.
Coming.
Yeah, call from a Miss Beyonce. Knowles Carter to collaborate on a few songs for her new album. And one of those songs, so two of the songs she contributed that she was credited with, of course, like a lot of artists, you work on a whole bunch of things and you're not sure what's going to make the album.
Right.
So the ones that made the album are Cozy, which is one of my favorites, and Alien Superstar. Now, Cozy is on that track with the musical, with many musical samples. We hear the undeniable and powerful voice of Honey's trans sister in arms, the fabulous T.S. Madison, declaring, quote, I'm dark skinned. No, I'm dark brown, dark skin, light skin, beige, fluorescent beige. Bitch, I'm black. End quote. That's how she says it. I love it.
That's awesome.
But it's just
I
like,
have to listen to so much music when we're done.
I love it. And I have to say, a lot of my trans family will say that that's like a trans Cozy is like a trans anthem in a way. So it's kind of going over our heads. But
okay,
like,
yeah, probably. But that's fine.
I love it. Cozy, I'm cozy. Bitch, pay me. I love it. Anyway, get Renaissance. It's so good. So now in an interview about this whole thing with NPR podcast, It's Been a Minute, when asked about getting recruited by Beyonce, Honey said, quote, well, first of all, I had to pick my jaw off the ground when that call came. I was like,
yeah,
how does Beyonce know about me? It was so humbling to feel that the work, that your lived experience was being acknowledged by someone of that caliber. One of the things that I was told from her team was that she wanted to make this a dance record and she wanted to go to the true source of Chicago house music. I think of so many people that have laid the groundwork for me to be able to express that. You know, I think of the Frankie Knuckles and the Ron Hardys and the Derek Carters and all of these amazing artists that have gone before me. For Beyonce to acknowledge that was just so gratifying and it made me so proud. I had to pat myself on the back. My mother always says, quote, you may see my glory, but you don't know my story, end quote. And I just thought about all of those years of being told no, or what I was doing was being misunderstood. So when that call came, it was just such a proud moment for me, end quote.
Oh, okay. I'm going to cry a little, but that's okay. Like, that's so beautiful. That's so moving. And that's so hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And it's just like, and also your work is bringing so much joy. Cause I tell you, Renaissance came just on time. Like I listened to that and I needed that. Like, you know, there's something about dance music that you just can like, not dance all your problems away, but it can just make things seem possible and more bearable for a little time. And for
like a moment.
Yeah. Just for a moment, you know, for that 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes or however long the song is. And, So now, of course, Honey is one of our heroic Notorious Women because she is not only a bright star, a proud trans woman, and a queer icon. She is also a DJ legend who has been tapped by both Beyonce and Madonna. But most importantly, she's a hero because she's living her life on her own terms while finding a way to do something that brings her joy and brings joy to the world. You know, of her life's work in music, she has said, quote, "The club is a community for me, and it always will be." So one of the things that I always tell people when they want to become a DJ, I say, well, why? What is it that you want to do as a DJ? Do you want to contribute to culture? Do you have a voice that you want to connect people with? I build community through sound, and I try to create spaces of liberation, end quote.
Okay. I love her so much.
Right?
Like, I want to go to her club, but I'm pretty sure I probably cannot afford it.
No, you and I aren't cool enough to be in Honey Dijon's
also, they would
presence.
say you don't have enough money to be in her presence. Yeah. And we would be like, fair enough, you know, but
yeah, she's too cool for me.
I mean, yeah, like I would just stare.
Yeah.
It would be awkward.
And you
I'd be like,
I
love you. And that's, you know, why, Miriam? Why do that? Just walk away.
Just so you know, you can't go on YouTube and find some of her sets. Like there's, they're actually filmed. Like there's one that was from 2018 and 2019 that I found on YouTube. So just go in and put in Honey Dijon, aka Honey Redmond, the notorious and fabulous DJ Dijon. DJ Dijon. My French is terrible. But that is Honey Dijon.
It is.
And you know what? You do not have to agree. You're supposed to be my friend. You should be like, you should lie. Be like, no, that's fine. Like,
but then you land in Paris and like I lied to you this whole time and then you're going to be embarrassed. So like I'm here for you.
No, I'm afraid of French people because I heard they're really rude if you do not know how to pronounce your French.
Yeah. Sometimes they aren't though.
Yeah, it could be just a stereotype. People say that about New Yorkers, and I found actually the rude people are the people who are not native New Yorkers. It's like,
that is true.
You know, but that is Honey Dijon. And I just think it's important to, you know, again, I love a murderess. I love a black widow. I love a woman who stab. But you know, it's also important to highlight the stories of these women who are, you know, because it is to live out and proud is notorious, even in 2023, when there's so many legislation, laws that are being drawn up to restrict the, you know, the rights that we just got.
Yeah.
And I think it's important.
And it's important to understand that affects everybody. So if you're not trans, like I just, you know, Elie Wiesel wrote a great poem we all need to reread. They came, they came for those people, and I was like, that's not me. They came for those people. Like, if they're coming for someone, they're eventually coming for you. So to protect everyone is to also protect yourself.
Yep. And also,
that is my speech for today.
And also go and stream and buy Renaissance.
Yeah.
And house music. Robin S. You got to show me love.
I need a dance party right now.
Oh my God. I love it. Yes. Okay, guys, that wraps it up for another episode of Notorious Women Podcast. Remember to follow us on all the things. You can go to Apple, you can go to Stitcher, you can go to Spotify, you can go to any podcast.
You know what?
Catcher of your choice.
Podcasts, we are there. Tell your friends, send it to your friends.
Yes.
Just like send it to them.
Yeah.
And also don't forget to write a beautiful review.
5 stars.
Talking about just like how pretty we are.
Yeah, we're so pretty.
Like you can't see us, but like you can imagine. So that's good. But 5 stars. Thank you.
5 stars. And you can also contribute to us financially if you want to help us out. on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Notorious Women. How do I do the house version of that? patreon.com /Notorious Women. Notorious. No, that's I don't know.
Oh my God, you're a DJ.
No.
It's like not a good one.
Nope.
But
that's more like whip it good, right? Whip it good. But no, that is patreon.com/Notorious Women. And if you give us enough money, I promise never ever to sing again.
Yeah, if you guys could do that, that would be really good. What?
I promise. And Miriam, do you want to tell them where else they can find us?
Yes, we are on Instagram. It's Notorious Women Podcast. It's fun. Go on Insta. You can DM us there as well, but you can also email us at notoriouswmpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening to us. We really appreciate all your help and your support. And again, we're trying to, we are expanding. So, but you know, the more the merrier. So tell your friends, copy the link, send it to them, and you know, help us get our numbers up. Right?
Thank you.
Our numbers up. All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.